Everything's got to come together just perfect. Spaniard, look at him spotting in the surf. Ha ha!
Grady White Boats' reputation for designing ruggedly elegant fishing boats is legendary. Our attention to quality, detail, and customer service is unmatched. From our Fisherman 180 and Coastal Explorers series to the unrivaled Canyon 456, you'll find no boat that rides better and offers more fishing amenities. Go ahead, experience fishing at its best. Get the Grady.
Hello and welcome to the Carolina Outdoor Journal. Well, today we're going to be fishing for some Spanish, but we're going to be doing it in a unique way, Joe.
Well, it really is. We're going to be fishing actually off the beach for Spanish. Everybody that fishes Spanish every year thinks about fishing off a boat, trolling or casting if you get into a school of fish, or off the end of a pier. That's the favored ways, or more popular ways to catching them. But today we're going to take you and show you something a little different. Fishing Beaufort Inlet, the south end of Shackleford Banks. And this was actually a week before Hurricane Irene came in. And so we knew that was the possibility of her coming up, and so we got the show in before that happened. But just a unique way of catching Spanish. You really don't think about it, but because of the way that the island butts up to the inlet, the water drops off. It's just a natural place for it, and you'll see we had a lot of fun.
And Joe, you don't have to do anything special that we'll talk about in gear time to fish like this.
Actually, no. This was late summer. The guys were in shorts. I mean, you don't need waders. This time of year when the guys like to fish for them on the beach, it's warm, so you don't need any special foot gear. And the lures are pretty standard Spanish mackerel lures. They had to work with the sizing. The fish were real picky that morning. You'll see the inlet was full of small bait fish, and so you have to downsize your lures to meet what the fish are feeding on. That's what they did, and they caught fish.
And speaking of feeding, Donna has got a recipe for us. It's a salad today.
Right, it's a seafood salad, which is, we're on the coast today, so it goes right with what we're doing today.
Well, we got a busy day. Thanks for joining us on the Carolina Outdoor Journal.
Well, this is mighty pretty, Chuck. I can see Spanish jumping from here.
We got fish jumping down there. We're sitting here at the mouth of Beaufort Inlet, and basically 3 days away from what might be Hurricane Irene's landfall, and we're going to be leaving a perfectly good boat to put our feet in the sand and catch some Spanish mackerel this morning, buddy. So we need to get out there and get that tide before it goes slack, because they are jumping already.
Yeah, well, it's prime time to catch a nice Spanish. I think we probably ought to secure this boat a little bit better before we get out of there, don't you?
We're going to get an anchor put out, and then we're going to walk right down the beach and be in some fish, partner.
Well, let's do that, because I am ready.
Let's go.
What caliber fish you expect to be catching out here,
Kurt,
Chuck?
we're going to see fish anywhere from 14, 15 inches up to 5 or 6 pounds. And they could literally be right at your feet. We got some busting right here, right off the beach right now.
That's a pretty place, just a flat with a pure drop off of it in it.
It's gorgeous, a big rip right here on the point. We've got sand flats going out the inlet. It's going to be a gorgeous morning right here before the hurricane. Kurt, they're out there waiting on you, buddy.
I see them. They like that chartreuse?
They hit that chartreuse early. Come on, Spanish.
You generally just use a fast retrieve.
Just fast as you can rip it, man.
There he is right there.
All right, Kurt, welcome to the beach. Welcome to the beach, buddy. We might be casting too far.
Yeah, he wasn't very far out there. Where's the bluefish?
Mr. Blue. Woo! You need to de-hook her?
No, I'll get him.
All right, buddy. Hooked up, Kurt. Look at this. Little drag going, good gracious, buddy.
Taking it on.
Look at this. It's all coming back to me now.
Just a yeah, oh yeah, really? You're used to that casting, aren't you? Is he taking some drag?
He did, he did. I wanted to see this guy.
You just using a fast retrieve?
Fast retrieve as soon as it hits the water.
You gonna just walk him up behind you?
I'm gonna come right to the beach with him with this wave, I hope. Look at here, Spaniard. Oh, me.
I love that black dorsal fin on it. That's where you got him, hadn't you?
He came by there and made a quick little pop at it, and we ate him up, buddy. Got to stay away from those teeth.
I like that chartreuse. Isn't that pretty how he's got that black dorsal right there?
You can always tell them from a king by looking at that dorsal right there. That's why he pulls so good, but he swiped at it. They're still busting out there in the surf, buddy. I'm gonna let him go.
I know he was a good fight hooked in the top of the head like that.
Let's get this de-hooker and let him go, and we'll catch us another one, partner. Oh, me.
Well, Chuck, you spend a lot of time looking for fish sometimes when you're fishing. We're looking at them right now, but we need to find exactly what they want to bite, don't we?
They are on such small bait, Kurt. We've been catching them on fly rods. You can see the bait coming out of the water. We are literally using, I mean, in order to cast something, we've got to go a little bit bigger. We're using the smallest little metal jigs that we can, and we're still, you know, getting bit, but we just can't get them to hold on. But the fish are definitely here.
Looking right at them.
And they're well within range. Maybe we're casting too far. Oh, Kurt, there he is. We finally got one on.
I got you. Same bait though, huh?
Same bait. I let it sink. Let it sink down for about maybe 5 seconds.
You taking a run for it?
He took a little drag when he first popped it, but we'll see what we can do. Nice Spanish. Look at him in the waves.
I hooked up the same time, let it sink just like you said.
All right. Just let it get down a little bit and we're doubled up. Look at that fish. Look at that Spanish.
Now that's pretty.
That's the Spanish right there,
That's
buddy.
pretty. I believe I'd like to take in the blackjack.
Well, if you want to put some up there in the cooler, we'll do it,
Yeah,
buddy.
absolutely.
Look at that. What have you got
My
there? Let's
surf
see.
fishing experience is very limited, but I love seeing them come up on this.
They're right there in the wash.
Yeah, we're seeing them right in that wave.
Look at here, look at here. Ladyfish.
Well, that was a good fighting fish.
Ladyfish.
You know, I don't know if that's my first ladyfish or not.
Outstanding catch, partner.
Well, Chuck.
That's a gorgeous ladyfish. I'd love to have those on the flower. I'd say that's your first one.
I believe it is, unless I've caught some little bitty ones before.
Well, they get about as long as your arm, so we'll get that up. But that Spanish you had on the grill, I'll put him over here for blackjack.
That was a good fighting little fish here, though.
Yes, sir. They are tough. They are tough. And
They
they're still busting right there in the wash,
must be in there
buddy.
feeding together. That looks a lot like a bonefish does, doesn't it?
Look at the minnows that's what they threw up right there. So that's what we're competing with. Just millions of them.
Let me get this one back in the water.
I'm gonna put this one up here by the cooler. Doubled up on something. Nope, I got one of your little jacks, buddy.
Got a little more fight to this fish here.
Good, I hope it's a Spanish.
He hadn't taken that run like I'm looking for. Nah, little jack again.
That's bluefish.
Absolutely a variety of species here.
Kurt, make you a cast kind of down into the waves instead of out straight, maybe. We just had a little bit of slack tide. We've just gotten maybe a touch of incoming now. We've got these fish coming right back up to our feet. So I think if we get out there, we can finish up what we started this morning on that outgoing tide.
I got you. I can tell that the fish are moving in. As it got a little later with that tide this morning, they moved further out to the inlet. But they're coming back now. They within casting range or getting close to it.
As that tide comes in, they're going to acclimate close to that beach because that's where all those minnows are going to try to get away from them. So let's go catch one, buddy.
There's almost too much bait, isn't there?
Just about.
A little Spanish here.
Spaniard, hooked up. We got a double.
You have?
Got a double, buddy. I think I see a black dorsal. Oh, little drag, Kurt.
I tell you one thing about a Spanish, he's all meat, isn't he?
This might be a ladyfish. Nope, little Spanish.
I tell you what, all the fishing I was doing this morning, I was using pretty much a straight retrieve.
Come on, fish.
Is he taking some drag?
It did just a hair, but I think he set so light, Kurt.
You gotta be set doing light like this. You're liable to hook up a 5 or 6 pounder at any
Spanish,
time.
I think I got him in the back of the head. Uh-oh, Kurt, you hooked up. But I tell you, when they're that thick, buddy, you hook them in the head, the tail, everywhere.
Too bad we can't pick the ones we want, isn't it?
Gosh knows, if we could grade them 5 pounders in here, we'd be somebody.
Those are some pretty fish now.
They don't ever give up coming after it once they commit.
That's right.
Get him, buddy.
I can feel him down there swimming. He's gonna swim around the side there, though. Another one of them jacks, I think.
Little jack.
How far up in the water column do you think these fish are?
They'll eat from the bottom to the top. But that little black dot right there on his door,
Right
on his
here?
tail, that tells you that's an Atlantic bumper. Basically just a little miniature Jack Crevalle.
I think the best time to come out here and catch a Spanish like this is, and I'm talking time of year, time of day, tide, wind.
It's hard to beat late summer and early fall. The wind, I don't think it's got as big of, as long as it's not gale force or small craft, but we got to have moving water. We sat down for about an hour ago and had a sandwich and a pack of nabs and waited for just a little bit of water movement and come out here, and we've been doubled up pretty much since we got down here.
You talking about current coming around?
In or out, doesn't make any difference. We're sitting on the point of the inlet, so we've got a rip or a point break both ways, in and out.
Well, you timed it so we could get the tide both ways with a break in between,
We
too.
did. We were going to have about an hour and a half break in between, and that's about the way she worked out. The fish are right there waiting for you, right between us and that first boat.
And some pretty ones, too, now.
If the bigger ones will come in here like the little ones, we'll have it made in a minute.
If they eat. A lot to be said for what you're talking about, color differentiating from the bait, but also with that erratic movement, it's coming and falling,
Yeah.
looks a little different.
Everything's got to come together just perfect. Spaniard, look at him spinning in the surf. Ha ha! Pretty work, Kurt.
Look at the difference in the bait. Look at the bait here that we're using in this bait. That ought to catch him, hadn't it?
It's almost identical. Almost identical. Hooked up, Kurt, right there, buddy.
What's it feel like? No telling, is it?
There ain't no telling here. We have caught everything. Ladyfish, houndfish, American bumpers, and we caught barjack,
blues, Spanish.
bluefish. This feels like a little Spanish.
I'm looking for one that goes the other way like some of them nice Spanish we've been seeing.
Spaniard.
Yeah. I love that black fin on them.
That is something,
Just
man.
a pretty fish.
That is something.
And I've seen some broad ones out there.
I get this de-hooker because I love my fingers.
Well, it looks like you had fun out there.
We really did, and actually we missed some of the best tide because as you see, it was first light. The sun just came up, and we think the fish were actually feeding at night, you know, before we could actually film it. But so we didn't get some of the better action. I think it kind of started dwindling off, and as you can see, we caught a variety of fish, not only Spanish but ladyfish and bluefish, and because everything else is mixed in. That inlet starts moving either way, and there's food there. These big predators come in, and so fishing, you know, we were targeting Spanish, which we caught that day, but you can expect a variety of fish.
All right, and you got to be ready for them. So let's find out more. Let's go to gear time.
Wow, Chuck, that was a lot of fun.
Tell you, Kurt, it was great to get you down here. We're down here at Harker's Island, headed out to Beaufort Inlet. We were really trying to catch Spanish in the sand right before Hurricane Irene comes up the coast, and we had absolutely amazing conditions. It looked like an African migration out there. We had bait, we had fish, we had everything you needed.
Amazing. And we did catch a fair amount of Spanish.
We did. We caught nice Spanish. We didn't catch anything as nice as we saw jumping out of the water and cutting under our feet.
Saw hundreds of nice class Spanish jumping, but the amount of bait and predator fish that we saw was just amazing. You could just see them in the water all around our feet, just billions of minnows and houndfish and blues and everything just cutting through them. It was just a sight to see if we hadn't even had a fish.
Well, we knew we were going to have about 2 hours this morning on the outgoing tide. We knew we were going to have about an hour of slack in there, so we came back to the boat and had a sandwich and had a pack of nabs and a Gatorade, and after that we went back, and when that tide started moving, it was come on, let's go again.
It sure did. And they seemed to like the smallest baits that we were throwing.
The smaller baits you could throw, they went through a lot of them today, but the smallest you could do, about the size of your little finger, exactly what you've got there is about the size that they were eating, and it sounds like size was very, very important, but also once we got some cloud cover this afternoon, it was very important to have some color. The shiny, you know, stainless looking, you know,
right.
Silver didn't work as good as the pink and whites and the green and whites and the chartreuse and whites.
This bait looked exactly like the glass minnow. At one point we laid them side by side, looked exactly like it, too much so. I don't think they just could discriminate the difference. So if you had pink on there or jigged this and made it erratic, it worked. The chartreuse was good, and I think the baits that was best was this jig right here, had a single hook on it in chartreuse, but we lost all those.
It's very easy for them to get them in the mouth, and once they're inside the mouth, all they got to do is close the mouth and it's gone. But we went out with some 7.5, 6.5 foot rods with very light line. We've gotten out there. I used spinning all morning long. You used a pretty little Calcutta 200, I guess.
I think it's a 150.
A 150.
10, 12 pound test line, but we had a leader, mine about 6 feet long, and you were only around about 18 inches of 30 or 40 pound test fluorocarbon. Those Spanish are slick fish. He's not going to bite any hard wire. He's got very keen eyesight, and if you don't use straight fluorocarbon, he will not bite it regardless of the size of the bait.
Well, we got bit off a lot, but I think we got a lot more bites. And like I said, we caught everything. We caught American bumpers, which are small jacks. We caught bar jacks. We caught ladyfish. We had houndfish on. We caught Spanish, obviously, and bluefish. And if we'd stayed out there, hadn't got run off by the storm, I think we might have caught a marlin before we come home.
It was a lot of action and a lot to see. I really enjoyed it. Look forward to coming back in the future for something else. And just thanks again for having me.
Well, keep that hurricane offshore, and these fish will be here all fall, buddy. So look forward to having you back.
Thanks a lot.
Well, we certainly hope you can use some of that information now. Let's catch up with Donna. She's in the kitchen with a recipe for a very special salad.
Hi, today we're making a seafood salad, and nothing is better than a chilled seafood salad on a hot day, especially if you're at the beach. So I'm going to show you how you can use all the leftover seafood you have and make this great dish. We're going to start out, and we have some leftover crab that we had. And you know, sometimes you have one fillet left. So what are you going to do with that? You take it off, crumble it up, and you're going to make a seafood salad out of it instead of just eating it like you had it the night before. We're going to change up those leftovers. We are going to use some scallops that I've chunked, and we're also going to use some shrimp. And you can use any kind of fish, any kind of seafood you like. If you have mussels you want to put in here, or you know, big shrimp, little shrimp, scallops, crab, whatever you have, just put it in here and it'll all be great. We're going to chill it down. It's going to be wonderful. We're going to also add to this some mandarin oranges and some mandarin orange juice that comes in the container. We want to buy the mandarin oranges that come in their natural juice. And we're also going to add some green apples to this. And you can put raisins in here, you can put craisins if you want, you can put nuts, whatever you happen to have and whatever your family likes is what you can incorporate into this recipe. Then we're going to use some tartar sauce as our combinder. Instead of using mayonnaise and other kinds of things, we're just going to use our bottled tartar sauce. It's got all your flavors in it already. So that makes it nice and quick and easy. We're going to toss this until coated well. And I use about 1/4 cup of the tartar sauce, but if your family likes your seafood salad a little bit saucier, you can do that. Or you can always, if you're going to chill this down, a lot of times the ingredients will absorb that, so you might want to put a little bit extra if you're going to wait and use this the next day. So it's ready to go in the fridge. We're going to chill it down for about an hour until it's nice and cold, or you can do it for overnight. We're going to show you what it looks like when it's finished. As you can see, we have all these beautiful colors going. You have great texture as well with the crunch of the apples. And I've served mine with some juicy ripe tomatoes, which I think is always a great way to do it. You can also hollow out a tomato if you like and put your seafood salad right inside, which is always kind of nice too. So I hope you enjoy the seafood salad, and I look forward to seeing you next time here on Simple Cooking.
Thanks, Donna. She does come up with some interesting recipes. But Joe, let's head back down to the coast.
I tell you, that is some fun fishing if you've never done it. And there's only 2 places on the coast, and I know you can do that. Where we were, in the Shackleford, which is right there at Morehead City, Beaufort Inlet, and then up at Hatteras, at Buxton. You hear about them catching them on the beach up there too, but just a real fun way to do it. Unfortunately, we felt like we missed some of the better part of the bite that morning because of the tide, but you saw we caught a variety of fish. Had one really nice Spanish, and the thing about it, you could see the fish jumping, chasing bait. One of the things we had to fight that day was the abundance of bait, and the fish were, that's why they had finally downsized to the point where they were matching the bait that these fish were hitting. And but loads of fun, and it happens, like Chuck said, he likes it at the end of the summer, August, September, when the bait starts flushing out of the inlets that time of year, and all the major predators come in to feed on them, and it can happen right there.
It's just another adventure in North Carolina.
Absolutely.
For Joe Albee, I'm John Moore. Thanks for joining us today on the Carolina Outdoor Journal.
Make sure to visit our website for more information.
Grady White boats are known for uncompromising quality through exceptional attention to detail. On every model, from 18 to 45 feet, we incorporate exclusive features and quality components that you won't find on any other boat brands. Our exclusive CV2 hull design is ranked highest in every third-party survey done in the marine industry. So every day on the water will be a great day, no matter the conditions. Ask any Grady White owner and they'll tell you, get the Grady.